When it comes to rivals in anime, it's a trope that will never go away for the foreseeable future, even when we get new series like Spy Family, which actually brings me to the topic of today's video. Even a wholesome series like Spy Family isn't immune to such a thing either. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the woman that Yor is competing with for the heart of her fake husband, Loid Forger. While Yor has been told by Loid that this woman's no one to worry about, Yor's female intuition kicked in and she rightfully viewed this woman as being a threat to blow up her fake marriage with Loid. So who exactly is this woman and why should Yor be afraid? Well, her name is Fiona Frost and she's Yor's rival for Loid's affections. However, in typical Spy Family fashion, there's a lot more to Fiona than actually meets the eye. Just as Yor is secretly an assassin, Fiona is actually an intelligence agent who goes by the code name Nightfall, which is very fitting given her name is a pun on Loid's codename Twilight. During the daytime, she works alongside Loid at the hospital as his assistant, but in reality, she's there to give him the details for missions that he's been assigned to carry out when he isn't doing things in relation to his main mission, Operation Stryx. Fiona's relationship with Loid, as well as her infatuation with him, can be traced back to a time when Loid was directly training her when she first entered into the agency, with Loid training her to suppress her emotions. But the irony is that while she was being trained by Loid, she was falling in love with him the entire time. She's a bit of a go-getter in the sense that there are those who believe that she's a little too ambitious and a little too icy to the point where she has a bit of a stubborn streak, which led to some people mistaking her for wanting to replace Loid at the top when in reality she was just working so hard because she was trying to get closer to him. We see evidence of this when she tries to get herself placed onto Loid's mission as his wife, despite the fact that Loid had already found a wife in Yor. Similar to how Yuri pretty much turned his nose up at Loid, judging him as being unworthy of his sister's love, Fiona does pretty much the same thing when it comes to Yor in regards to Loid's affections for her. It's a bit ironic when you think about it. While she's certainly a capable spy, the fact is that she has very real feelings for Loid, feelings that might get in the way as they get further undercover if they were to be paired up as husband and wife, but she sees this as her best chance to win the heart of Loid. This leads to her judging Yor in a pretty harsh manner, with her thinking that Yor is beneath her and unfit to be a mother, which leads to Anya more than once going over the top in her display of affection for Yor because Anya doesn't want her family to be broken up by Fiona. Getting back to Fiona, however, she's got a bit of a jealous side when it comes to Yor and Loid's relationship, and it's for two reasons. Obviously, it's the marriage. That's a huge sticking point. But it's also the fact that when she's watching Loid interact with Yor, she begins to realize that Loid is actually falling in love, and the lines between the mission and reality are beginning to blur because Loid is beginning to see the Forger family as being his literal family, and she's noticing changes occur inside of Loid as she watches him. This bubbles over in the sense that when they go undercover on a mission, Fiona desperately signs him up as a married couple. Pretty much her way of trying to let Loid know how she feels about him. However, her rash decisions and her stubborn nature cause her to push herself during one of the key moments during that mission where they pretended to be a newlywed married couple playing tennis, and during a pivotal match, Loid had to reel her in a little bit for the mission's sake. To say that she's a bit overzealous when it comes to Loid, that is a huge understatement. Before she even met Yor, she'd already been plotting to take her out, with Fiona going so far as to say that if Yor went missing, there would be no reason to object, with her feeling in the role of wife on the mission for Operation Stryx, which leads to her handler telling her not to plot anything crazy and to stay focused on her own missions. When Yor meets her for the first time, she's her usual bubbly, absent-minded self, saying in her mind how beautiful Fiona is, but the whole time Fiona is sizing her up, looking for a way to literally take her out of the picture. But Yor subconsciously has been in a defensive position that makes her on guard for anything that Fiona's plotting, where Fiona literally can't attack her because Yor has all of her vital spots covered. She then tries to nitpick, pointing out how raising a energetic girl like Anya must be difficult, and when that doesn't work, she goes for a low blow by successfully planting the seeds in Yor's head that Loid is unhappy about her and grumbling about her while he's at work. When Loid comes into the room, she's thinking to herself about marrying Loid and all the ways she would be a superior housewife over Yor, which in her mind would make Loid want to marry her beyond reasons of the mission that they're on, i.e. Operation Stryx. She's extremely critical of Yor's parenting skills when Anya spills cocoa onto the table, going so far as to say that Loid hadn't properly trained Yor and that she's an absolute failure as a mother, which leads to Anya hugging Yor and declaring how much she loves that Yor's her mother. In this moment, when Yor and Loid are looking at each other deep in the eyes and Loid is smiling and Loid calls her a great wife who he couldn't have asked for somebody better, it's in that moment that Fiona's contempt for Yor grows because she realizes that Loid isn't smiling a fake smile, and she realizes that this is a real smile, and it makes her clench her fists in frustration before she gets up and leave. But that whole encounter just made her all that more determined to remove Yor from the picture and become Loid's real wife, mission or no mission, because she wants Loid to look at her the same way that Loid was looking at Yor during that moment. Now, what fascinates me about this character even more is that she gives off the telltale signs of being a cake woman, which is hilarious given we already have one cake woman in the series in the form of Yor, but the author of Spy Family decided to go a different route with Yor and with Fiona. Whereas with Yor, her co-workers were saying that she needed to be married for her age and that being unmarried at that. Whereas with Yor, her co-workers were saying that her being unmarried at her age, i.e. 27 or 28, was a bad sign and she should have settled down before then, which is why her getting Loid to be her date for that party was such a huge moment in order to try and shut down those raised eyebrows. Whereas with Fiona, we have someone who clearly wants to be in a relationship, especially a relationship that's going to be with Loid. She's attractive just like Yor, but she also has a reputation for being a bit standoffish and being too devoted to her job, being icy, which can bring up that cake woman trope. In both cases, the women are written like cake women. So in Japanese culture, a cake woman is a woman over the age of 25 who isn't married despite society expecting her to already be married. It can be her own undesirable traits, or it can be her own devotion to the job, or her running off any men who she's interested in. Whatever the reason, a woman who is expected to be married already or wants to be married in the case of Fiona is deemed as being a cake woman. The expression comes from the belief that a Christmas cake after Christmas Day, i.e. the 25th of December, is no longer desirable. So a woman over the age of 25 who isn't married is seen as being undesirable, and the belief is that there are a lot of major flags, which in the case of Yor and Fiona, one of those red flags that you would see is that they're an assassin and a spy, respectfully. Two women who, if they lose their temper, they can actually kill you. If you want to learn more about the cake woman trope, you want to click on the video that you're seeing on the screen right now. And if you want more Spy Family videos, you want to click on the other video that you're seeing on the screen right now.